Okay, so I'm sure most of you, if not everybody in this classroom, has rode a bicycle before. Maybe some of you have even rode a motorcycle or been a passenger on one. And so today I would like to explain to you the proper way to operate a motorcycle. Personally, I've been riding bikes. I've been riding bicycles since I was about 4 or 5 years old. I started riding dirt bikes when I was 10, and I've been riding street bikes for the last 2 to 3 years. The main components that I would like to talk to you about today is gear and tire, getting on the bike, turning the bike on, putting the bike into gear, how to properly stop, and how to park and get off of the bike. So the first thing is gear. The proper things that you're going to want to wear. Safety is a big issue, and it sounds kind of cheesy, but it really is when it comes to riding street bikes. So I brought in some of my personal gear. Here we have gloves with carbon fiber reinforced knuckles in case you were to go down, and the palms are actually made of leather, so they're pretty sturdy. Next you have helmet, just pretty basic. It's got a visor that flips up and down. It's got a chin strap, and it's called a breathe box. So for the hot, sunnier days, that's nice to open up, get a little airflow. Next, you have just a jacket. Now this is a textile jacket. It's got a lot of breathability for hotter days, but then during winter you probably want to go with something like leather. It keeps you warmer, and it adds a lot of protection in case you happen to go down. It has things like shoulder pads, elbow pads, and it also has back protection. So the next thing I would like to talk about is turning the bike on. Now this is a picture of the bike behind the handlebars. It's a little awkward if you're not used to getting onto a bike. It may be a little bit awkward for you to get on. But basically, you're just going to want to hold the handlebars before you get on while the bike keeps standing down and swinging. And then you're just going to take your right leg and swing it over just like you would on a regular bicycle. And once you're on, you can kind of sit back and get familiar with the controls. Like you have your lights here, and you have your signals here. And you might want to adjust your mirrors to your liking and whatnot. Then you also have your speedometer. And over here is the red rocker switch, which controls the engine. Flip it up, turn it off, flip it down, start it. And the switch right underneath it, you can hardly see it because the lighting sucks, but it's this gray little switch right here. It's got a circular, that helps. It's got like a little lightning bolt on it. So once you're on the bike and you got the key in the ignition and the key is right there, you turn it to the right and make sure that the red rocker flip is switched in the downward position, and you press the gray switch with the lightning bolt on it, and if everything is intact and it's got fuel in the tank, it should start no problem. So yeah, you got it started and getting it warmed up, and then the next thing we're going to talk about is putting the bike into gear. Here you have the right side. I'm going to talk about the right side of the bike and its components first, and then we'll switch over to the left. So the right side is, you have 3 main things. You have your brake, you have your throttle, and you have your front brake. So you want to be really careful with your front brakes because endo if you press them too hard. And you want to be very careful with your back brakes because if you apply too much pressure, you'll skid out and the bike will slide underneath you, which is fun from personal experience, like I said. And the throttle, very, very soft with the throttle, especially when you're first starting out. You want to be very delicate because a little too much throttle, you could end up in a wheelie, but also not enough, you'll stall the bike. So you got to find a nice little medium there. side of the bike. The left side of the bike, you have your clutch, which is very important because that's actually what will set the bike into motion. And then you also have your shifter, which is down here. And when you're ready to park and stop, you have your kickstand on the left side. Okay, so with the clutch, the gearing on a bike is, there's 6 gears, and the term that most bikers will use is 1 up, or 1 down, 5 up. So initially, to get into your first gear, you pull the clutch in, shift down, and then that'll put you into first, and then the rest is all the way up. And to get into neutral, that's in between first and second. And on the bike, there's where the speedometer was, the previous picture, there's actually a little green light that'll light up so you know that you're in neutral. And yeah, because you don't want to accidentally be in gear and lurch forward or something. Alright, and stopping. When you come to a stop sign or a red light or what have you, you just need to stop. It's best to pull the clutch in towards you, and you're going to want to stop with both your front and your back brake simultaneously. That way you don't accidentally go over the bars and you don't accidentally skid. Using a post is the most efficient way to stop. And then you're going to eventually, whether you're tired of riding, you need a sip of water or whatever, take a break, grab something to eat, whatever, you're going to want to stop eventually. So the best way to think about it is to kind of envision where you want to park. Like normally you're going to park like your bike on a, on a curb. Like for instance out here on Chapman, you've got a lot of traffic flow, so you want to like look at the spot before you park it and know where you're going to pull over. So you come up to the spot, you're going to want to turn your bike all the way to the left, or turn the handlebars to the left, stop, and completely, then turn the handlebars to the right, and then kind of take a look behind you. You could even use your rear view mirrors to back up, and then just make sure the bike that is in neutral, and use your feet to start pushing the bike in a backward motion. And the last thing is you're going to want to make sure that the back tire is flush with the curb and not at an angle, like causing awkward parking. And then, so once your back tire is flush with the curb, you're going to put your kickstand down with your left foot and swing your right leg up and over, and you're off the bike. And so in conclusion, today I've gone over with you the gear attire, getting on the bike, turning the bike on, putting the bike in a gear, how to properly stop, how to park and get off, and hopefully it's giving you some insight on how to ride and operate a motorcycle. And in the future, even if you don't go out and buy one and ride one today, at least when you get on one, you'll have some knowledge of how to ride a bike.
So, push it guys for a race. So they almost a race. The first time that I went down to I was kidding.
Ray, we're going to rush through this. The references at the beginning are okay. It's not particularly interesting. I think that you need to try and make it a little bit more dramatic. You've got a simple goal, but it's, I think, way too complex a goal for a short speech. You end up going over time a couple of minutes, and so that's a little bit of a problem. You're trying to do too much in a short amount of time as a consequence. Trying to explain how to back up and park, for instance, I think is one of those things that falls outside of the need for this particular speech. I think the opening stuff probably works best. On the delivery